back to my YouTube channel. I'm Heather Colleen. So tonight I am going to be discussing how to set healthy boundaries. I really am excited to share this topic and speak about this topic because I have dealt with boundaries and really had to learn how to set healthy boundaries. Literally, guys, it took me a while to even be able to understand how to set boundaries or even how to receive boundaries from other people. It's not just one-sided, so I'm really excited to share this topic and I really want to dive into it. I have some steps I want to give you guys, and the first step I will give you guys is to have some confidence in yourself, because having healthy boundaries, for one, is being able to have confidence in yourself. If you don't have confidence in yourself to really give people your boundaries and let them know what is not acceptable for you, it's going to be really, really difficult. I know personally, for me, from my experience, it was really hard to set healthy boundaries. Having that self-love to just know, like, I'm not going to accept this and that's it. Or, this is too much for me. Like, I'm doing too much for this person and I'm not getting anything in return, and being able to really say, hey, let's talk about this. Like, I feel like I'm the one in the relationship, or, this can be a friendship, this can be a love relationship, whatever, parent relationships, siblings, whatever it is. Really explaining what you need is extremely important. And like I said, it really does build self-love and self-confidence. What are things that you don't like? What are things that you will not put up with? Really, write a list down. And if it's a particular person, maybe just write this list and say, these are things I'm not liking. Like, these are things that I cannot just go on and live with, so maybe I need to speak with this person and really figure out, how we can, establish healthier boundaries. My number one tip right there is really building that self-confidence within yourself. And guys, also, once you build that confidence, it's because no matter what you tell that person, you love yourself. You're like, okay, well, if you can accept what I'm telling you, you can accept this boundary that I'm telling you that is not acceptable to me, and you're having a fit, or you're saying, oh, you're too sensitive. Well, oh yeah, that's a deal breaker for me. I mean, if that's going to be what they're going to say, then it's okay. You have to let go of that. You have to move on with your life and know that you actually decided, hey, I was the one who was confident. I have self-love for myself, and if they can accept that, then I deserve better. I'll be okay. So, and sometimes it's hurtful, and sometimes it is hurtful to hear somebody who won't accept your boundary, and especially if it's somebody that you love, and it is kind of hurtful, but you love yourself more, so you're gonna be okay no matter what in this, right? So just know, no matter what happens, you love yourself, you're confident with yourself, and you're gonna say what you feel needs to be said, and no matter what is on the other end of that, you're gonna be okay. So my second tip would be to really get clear on what you're going to say. So if it's something that's going to be really easy, like, hey, I don't like that, you're okay with it, that's fine. But if this is something that has been kind of ongoing and you just don't know how to approach the situation, this is a time for you to really think, how are you going to approach this? Which leads me into my third tip, which is, please do not approach this through text message or through an email. Folks, don't do it, because I will tell you, text messaging is horrible. Now, if you really want to be, in my opinion, an adult, you will pick up a phone and you will communicate verbally like they did back in the olden days, because text messaging and email, they can't really read your voice. They can read, but they can't hear your voice. So let's not do that, because a lot of times people think like you're coming at them really hard, or they don't really know how you're verbalizing this approach. So when you're reading a text or you're reading an email, it may come off like sounding really harsh when you're really not being harsh. That's my third one. Just straight up tell the person, face to face, or over the phone is fine. But yeah, don't do a text message and don't do an email. So that is my third tip. My fourth is, don't take it personally if the person doesn't accept your boundary. This was kind of something I talked about in my first tip, but don't take it personally. It's really hard, like I was saying, when you really care about somebody and they're not going to respect the boundary that you're asking for, it gets really hard. So, you have to, for me, like, I really feel like now in my life, I have boundaries and I set them really, really early with people, because you know what? I mean, if it goes on long enough, you just get, to the point where you try to explain what your boundary is, and then they're like, well, you didn't care this whole time, so why do you care now? It's because sometimes there's growth. I really feel like people grow all the time. There is so much growth within people, especially when you're realizing your value, your worth, and you just continue to grow and evolve into a beautiful soul, like the soul of a goddess, so just don't take it personally. That is also self-love. And just, try not to get defensive about, this person if they're not going to accept your boundary. Letting go of the ego, just, you have to let go of that. So the boundary, when it comes to this, it's a healthy boundary. You're setting healthy boundaries for yourself to bring yourself more peace, not stress, or you just feel like something isn't right. You're becoming more self-aware of something and you want to communicate this verbally. Just do it in a really healthy way. Communicate like an adult. Communicate, gently and without attacking the person. So, because these, people have a life too. So, not everybody is going to agree with you. Not everybody is going to, live up to what your expectations are either. So always remember that. Your expectations, are different from other people, and you cannot expect people to be okay with things that you ask or you're communicating with. Sometimes it just doesn't happen. So my 4 tips are going to be really get that self-confidence, that self-love. What are things that you're becoming self-aware of? What are these red flags you might be feeling? Because red flags, they don't ever go away. They never do. So, you got to build that self-confidence. So how are you going to build that confidence to approach this person with what you're asking? So that's my tip 1. Tip 2 is going to be really getting clear on what you're going to be communicating with. Like, get really clear and be very gentle with how you approach this. So get clear on what you're going to ask for and what you're going to say. This is what I'm asking. Is there any way that we could resolve this? Is there any way that you can really respect this boundary that I'm, approaching you with? Get really clear, but get clear in a way where you're not trying to control the other person. You're not trying to attack the other person. So, and your ego isn't coming into play. So, our ego sometimes wants to really protect us. My 3rd approach for boundaries is do not text or write an email. approach this with verbal communication. Talk about it. I fully prefer to talk about things, really face to face, looking into that other person's eyes, because when people tend to like look away or look down, that's a lack of self-confidence. Sometimes, it really kind of tells a person's story right there when they can't fully look at you in the eyes. Just don't text and don't send an email. It can really come off to be bad. You just call the person, leave a voicemail, that way they can hear the voicemail in your voice, or they're gonna call you back. If they text you back when they see that you call, just say, if you could listen to my voicemail, or if you could just please call me back, I would really like to talk about something. I really appreciate your willingness to communicate with me. So that's my third one. My fourth one is not apologizing for what you're asking for. Don't ever, if somebody isn't going to accept your boundary, don't apologize for it. Don't be like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. Stand your ground. Just be firm. Stand your ground about it. Be like, okay, well, if you're not going to, respect my boundary, or we can't find like a 50-50 somewhere, this is just not going to work for me. Because why? Because you're okay by yourself. You don't need this relationship. You're going to be fine. And I tell you, some people, they come and go out of your life, and they're teachers. So trust me, I've had many teachers come into my life, and that's why I am able to really, find a way to communicate healthy boundaries now, and on the opposite end, like I had said in the beginning, there are times when people were approaching me with their boundaries, and I didn't really know how to even, accept them. Why? Because I was really never taught about it. I was always a giver. It was a learning process for me as well. But I was also a person who got walked over a lot. So I was very insecure. I just always try to help people as much as I could. So I did get walked over a lot. But I didn't know how to give boundaries. I didn't know how to accept boundaries. I didn't even know what the heck boundaries were. Let's put it that way. So, it is a learning curve. So really take it slow. If you're just starting out, like I said, really just get in touch with yourself. It's self-love, guys. It's really being confident with, your approach, and always knowing, no matter what, at the end of the day, you're loving yourself. You're confident with yourself. You're okay by yourself without this person if they're not going to respect your boundaries. So, that's what it comes down to. And also being gentle. So, it's not about like attacking the other person. It's just really about communicating in a healthy way, which is why this is called healthy boundaries. Some people just don't, like my fourth tip, it's okay if somebody doesn't respect it and says no, or, doesn't really understand and just doesn't care, it's fine. You're going to be okay. And you have to stand your ground, though. Don't ever just let somebody walk back over that boundary. Just make sure you stand your ground and keep on that boundary. So just make sure you stick to your guns. Set the boundary and just stick with the boundary. So if you have any questions or any comments, please feel free to comment down below. I have my email that I put down as well down below, so you feel free to email me. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter. So guys, I will see you on Self-Love Sunday, and I hope that you guys have a wonderful rest of your week, and I will talk to you guys soon. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.